My name is Liliana Arguello. I'm the Director of Membership at PIHRA. Everyone calls me Lily, so feel free to do that as well. So happy to have you. Uh, just a little housekeeping before we begin. We are recording this, so we what we usually do is record it and put it up on the YouTube channel where we have other recordings of member orientations. And they're all a little different because we do our best to tailor this to the attendees each month. We do this once a month. So we've been doing this for a while. In addition, we mostly interact through the chat. So you'll see that me and my partners here at PIHRA will be engaging you in the chat. And but we may have time. We have 60 minutes together right now. We may have time to ask you to unmute depending on how much we get through and if you have questions. So let's please begin by engaging through the chat. So if you have any questions, just send them through the chat. And feel free to let us know where you're cybering in from. And also, you can share your LinkedIn URL. I just shared mine. What else? Oh, we are covering a presentation deck, and I will make sure that by this afternoon, either myself or my colleague Elisette here, who's on video, she will email it to you. So you don't necessarily have to take notes on what is on the slides. You might want to take a picture here or there if there's a URL you're interested in, but you will get the slides. If you have notes on anything else we discussed, feel free to take those notes. Make sure you have questions for us because, again, we want to make sure this is for you. So we're starting. If you haven't already, grab some water or something. And I hope that you enjoy the next 60 minutes that we have together and also get the questions that you want answered about PIHRA membership. Say you're not a PIHRA member yet, but you want to gather information to help you make that decision, get those questions together because I want to make sure that we answer those questions for you. Okay, I do see. Great. Do we have a lively group? All right, Maria, thank you. She's coming in from Northridge. We have Oceanside. Amber, thank you for joining from San Diego. And Julie, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Thousand Oaks. So we have someone near Ventura County joining. Thanks again. I'm I'm so happy that you're here with us. So let's get to our agenda. I do see that we're still having admitting people in, so that's fantastic. Uh, we are just getting started. So if you just joined, welcome. Here is the agenda. We are spending the next 60 minutes together. And by the way, I do fill up the time. I like to talk and my special guests, we are full of information. So please plan on staying for the 60 minutes. We're in the welcome and general update phase right now. After that, we want to do a poll because again, I want to make sure that you walk away with the information you need in the next 60 minutes so that you can take your next step with your PIHRA membership. You can make a decision about PIHRA, and that we answer the questions that you need to help you be a better HR professional or make moves in your career as appropriate. After the poll, I'll introduce myself a little bit more, along with my team and our special guest, Susan Bowman. I'm so pleased to have you, Susan. She's the president of the PIHRA board, incoming president. So we are privileged to have Susan. So thank you. Then we'll do a quick PIHRA overview. And again, I'll be focusing on the things you requested in the poll and moving quickly over other things. We'll talk about PIHRA benefits, learning and networking at PIHRA, and then we'll just wrap up, making sure all of your questions have been answered. All right. Great, great, great. Diana, welcome. Samantha, welcome. Okay, so let's get going with the general update. I'm still talking about the pandemic because for me, there's a pre-pandemic period with PIHRA and then there's a post-pandemic. And we learned a lot in that process. We learned about how to be nimble, how to shift quickly when there are natural disasters or epidemics, coming toward us. And one of the great things that happened during that time is that we went virtual. So now, as a result, we are offering at least 3 webinars a month that are free for members and that have real in, impactful HR topics associated with them. So, for example, the day before yesterday, we invited Fisher Phillips to do a summary and talk about any applicable laws associated with this more recent crisis that we're seeing in Los Angeles, the wildfires. And so we've been able to respond pretty quickly on that. And I'm just going to take a moment to pause and invite Susan to talk a little bit more about what PIHRA is doing in response to helping our community during this crisis. Susan, you want to share any
Um,
ideas and thoughts?
yeah. So, welcome everyone. We're really glad to have you here. We're really happy to have you join us as an organization. So, one of the things we've been doing is reaching out to our leadership teams in the various chapters in West LA, in Pyro Pasadena, and some of the outlying areas, Glendale, Burbank, to see if we have any members that have been impacted by the wildfires. We know at this time of 3 members, chapter leadership members who have lost their homes in either the Eaton fire or in Palisades. We did have we, as an affiliate of SHRM, we do participate in the state council. So SHRM California, where we were at last weekend, Raphael and myself and some other board members, doing a volunteer leader summit and collected some really nice gift cards. And so we're in the process of identifying who those individuals are and who has the greater need to make sure that we get those funds to those individuals so that they can start to replace clothing or household items or whatever that it is that they might need, but we'll get those funds out to them rather quickly. So we're still waiting on a few folks to get back to us. So that's where one of the things we're doing. We're also going to have a landing page on our website that will direct you to the SHRM California or the SHRM National landing pages that provide significant links to all of the various support networks, Red Cross, some of the Feed LA folks. So a number of organizations that are supporting and how to get to those support or resources. And then as part of the SHRM California, I'm also going to be sitting on a board of about 5 or 6 individuals, actually a task force that will be identifying how to prepare for and how to respond in times of crisis and really look at it across the nation from that perspective of being prepared and for people having access to resources. So it'll be a living, breathing kind of landing page. So when we have tornadoes or we have hurricanes or we have earthquakes or we have other kinds of flooding that happens throughout our community, our HR communities nationwide, that we will have a place where people can go and can get access to the resources that they might need to support themselves and their families. So that's kind of where we're headed. But we do have funding going on right now. And I think, we'll also continue to open up opportunities for people who want to impact their local PIHRA chapters or local PIHRA members specifically. Will have opportunities to continue to do that.
Great. And from a programmatic standpoint, and Elisa, if you could do me a favor, in the chat, put our PIHRA blog on wildfires. We know that as employers and people, I calculate that our HR community and members, they impact 2.5 million employees. So we know that you need to adjust and know what laws are coming or, how to deal with people who not just have lost their homes, but maybe they had loss of power. Maybe were evacuated for a moment. So we will, at the end of this presentation, there's a list of upcoming events. So from a programmatic standpoint, we also have some webinars around crisis management, and some of our chapters who are currently hosting, all of them are hosting in-person meetings and webinars as well. They are also looking at adjusting some of their programs to also address crisis management and similar sorts of topics that can help you through this time. So keep visiting the PIHRA calendar, uh, PIHRA.org/calendar. That's where you're going to see the latest in what we're doing. We're updating that on a daily basis. And, our advantage here, we are an affiliate, and I usually talk about that later. So if you're wondering, why is Susan talking about SHRM and Cal SHRM? You may or may not know we are the largest SHRM affiliate in the United States. So we are working closely with them. But what differentiates us is that we have 18 chapters, and you'll see a map in a moment, that provide affordable, accessible, and actionable webinars and in-person meetings. So there's always content out there for you. So wanted to make sure you got that update up front. So let's move on to our regularly scheduled slides here. And I'm going to launch a poll. Again, as I asked earlier, please prepare us so we could focus on what you want to receive from the next 60 minutes through this orientation. So I'm launching a poll. You should see that now. Please let us know. There's 14 of you. I hope to get 100% participation in the poll. What do you want to know about most? And if there's more than one thing, put the second thing in the chat for me so I can focus on that. Is it PIHRA chapters, the monthly meetings, our seminars, our benefit PIHRA workplace by Mineral, HR certification, other PIHRA benefits perhaps? Volunteering, which is our best kept secret here, the PIHRA and SHRM relationship, or anything else. Again, if it's a other category, just put it in the chat. I'll make sure to address it live here. And great. I see you're filling it out. We got 80% participation. Let's see, what's in the lead here? People want to know about other PIHRA benefits. Please be specific in the chat. That would be great. PIHRA chapters. So other benefits and PIHRA chapters are in the lead. I'll give it another, let's say, 20 seconds. All right, one more participant. Do any more want to respond here? It's lovely to have this graphically. And Ellie said, if you could capture this in a screenshot, we might be able to get it on the back end, but not sure. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and share the results. So pirate chapters, let me write myself a note. Chapters. Chapters is in the lead. Other bunnies. Seminars. And HR cert. And SHRM and other. Okay, wonderful. I'm going to stop sharing. Did you get that? Okay, great. And great. So number 1 and 2 is chapter information and other benefits. I hear you. I also will look at, I'm a new PIHRA member. Any information would be great. Access to other items we may not be aware of. Other benefits such as mineral access specifics. Not sure what the other benefits are. One, an overview. Okay. Volunteer leadership. All right. Okay. So let's go on. Let's move forward, and I'm gonna get to these all and focus on those ones that had the highest response. So really quickly, I'm here in the middle. My name is Lily Arguello. I'm the Director of Membership, and I like to say in this portion of the presentation is that I was a PIHRA member before I ever dreamed of being on staff. My background is in organizational development. I was doing consulting. I worked very early in my career for a professor at the graduate school of actually the Anderson School. It was back then it was the Graduate School of Management at UCLA, and started my career, which is a little different in consulting. So I started as an associate consulting, doing organizational assessments, strategic planning. We did corporate culture studies, structure studies, and then wanted to go internal. And I knew about SHRM and PIHRA, so I joined PIHRA. My first PIHRA meeting was at PIHRA Long Beach. So shout out to Long Beach if anyone's here in that area. And I was so welcomed. And I'll tell you about my experience there. Um, as we move forward. But it was just a great experience. It turns out that it was 20, what was that? 2008 is what I want to say, right when that real estate crash happened. And I ended up going into the nonprofit area using my planning skills at a nonprofit that was focused on uh, the real estate crisis and helping new first-time home owners purchase their home, and also those who were losing their home during that time find refinance options, and try to help them not lose their home. I ended up ended up at the Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles doing membership work. And that's where I'm going to introduce you to my fearless leader on the staff side. Rafael Rivera found me and I got hired through LinkedIn. So also a plug for having an excellent LinkedIn profile and doing volunteer work, because that's how Rafael knew someone I knew through my work in the community. And if anyone has questions about that, let me know. But that's my story. And I love working with PIHRA. I love our members and things that we do. We just talked about our response on the wildfires. That's what gives me life. And so, last thing is, I am great with email. So, I'm not always able to answer the phone, but send me an email and me and Elisette will get back to you as soon as we can. I also want to just pause for a moment and let Elisette unmute. She's my right hand on the membership team and very willing to help. Elisette, you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Sure, thank you, Lily. I just want to say again, thanks everyone for joining us. We know today's Friday, your lunchtime, so we appreciate your time and we hope that you get the best information and what you need out of this webinar. As you can see, I've been interacting with you via the chat, so feel free to chat us up, interrupt us if you have any questions. But yeah, a little bit about me. I have been with PIHRA for, I think I just hit my 8-year anniversary last year in November. So
Hey.
just like Lily, we've been with PIHRA for several years now, and we're very knowledgeable and aware of the organization and your needs. So feel free to connect with us if there's something that we couldn't cover or we couldn't answer throughout the webinar. Email us, contact us. We're very accessible. I'm usually the first person that you speak to if you dial the main number. So feel free to connect with me if there's anything that we can do to assist. Now that I have switched over to part-time, it may be a little hard to reach me in the late afternoons, but usually mornings, we're very responsive and good with email. So I'll hand it back to you, Lily.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Ellie. So you'll see that me and Elisette, we've been with PIHRA a long time, and we are very committed and passionate about the organization. It is my commitment to you and my expectation of my team that we get back to you within 24 hours during the working week. So we most likely will email you pretty quickly or respond pretty quickly. But if we don't get back to you in 24 hours, we missed it. So feel free to reach back out. But I am committed to responding and making sure you get what you need through PIHRA as quickly as possible. Okay. Also on this slide is Sonia Montiel. So PIHRA is primarily volunteer led. However, we're the largest SHRM chapter. So we do have a staff. I think we're 8 people now. Um, But Sonia is an example of one of our volunteer leaders. She's my liaison to the board. So you're meeting Susan right now. She's the president of the board. We could talk a little bit about our structure, but we're primarily volunteer led. Sonia's the incoming chair of the membership committee, and she's fantastic. I can't wait for you all to meet her. She's committed to member engagement, making sure that you get what you need, and has a plan for this year. And I'm really excited to work with her. So let's move on because I want to make sure you met Susan briefly, but we didn't give Susan a chance to talk a little bit more about her role and her connection with PIHRA. So, Susan, please spend some time telling us more about yourself.
Oh, there's not a lot to tell. I started with PIHRA in 2000 when my HR career took off. I was working for a small manufacturer, and we were going to go from 120 to from 25 employees to 120 overnight. And I went in and said to my boss, "You need to hire somebody from HR because you're going to start tipping all these state and federal laws." And he said, "Tag, you're it." So that started my HR career. So, like many of you may have fallen into HR, or some of you have actually gone to school for it, but I have been in multiple roles. I have a rather eclectic career, from manufacturing to inmate feeding products for the state of California to sales and distribution. Then I did some broadband technology. I've done aerospace. And my current role with Rite Aid has actually changed. I was the senior manager for the supply chain HR network on the West Coast for Rite Aid since 2018. And most recently, I have moved over into a corporate role as the accommodations advisor nationwide. So my role, I spend almost all day long doing some type of accommodation, whether it's returning somebody to work who has work restrictions, workers' comp, the interactive process, or actual disabilities that we look to do it. And we actually placed our first service dog in one of our stores last year, so it's been pretty exciting. So it's a great opportunity to serve others. So I have been with PIHRA. I actually was part of a group that started the Antelope Valley chapter way up in the Antelope Valley. And that was in 2000. And I have been the chair, the vice chair, the treasurer, the secretary, the hospitality, the programs. So you name it, I've probably embodied that role. I did step into leadership at the board level in 2016 when we redid our bylaws and drove that program, and then was a regional rep for Antelope Valley, Ventura, and Santa Clarita, and then moved into the VP role and now the president's role with PIHRA. So I'm usually pretty accessible. So if you want to send me a note on LinkedIn, I'll respond. I'm not 100% like 24 hours there, but you can always reach me at work at Rite Aid, which is susan.g.bowman@riteaid.com. And if you send me an email, chances are I'll respond and usually try to get back to you via a phone call or if you leave a message. But you can also reach me at president@pihra.org. So you're welcome to try to connect at any time. There's lots of opportunities to be volunteer leaders for PIHRA, and I would just encourage you to ask today whatever questions you have about what do you need to know about our chapters, what do you need to know about leadership, and how do you connect. It's the best organization. So it made my career. So
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys are all so lucky. You have the president of the board. I mean, this is your direct line to top line decision making. I put her president@pihra.org email in the chat. If you have any questions, any concerns, please. You've met the head honcho here. So thank you, Susan, so much for being with us. And also, you notice that Susan has three different HR certifications. So what I like to say, I know someone here has questions about that, and I have a slide on that. But I ask you, if you're not certified and you have questions, talk to as many certified people as possible, because we all have a different career path and made choices on certifications for different reasons. Everyone's so unique. So that's another reason you might want to reach out to Susan via her email or LinkedIn to ask advice about certification. So thank you so much. The next part is an overview. Um, so I mentioned earlier, we are a SHRM affiliate, and I see that people have questions about our relationship. If you have a specific question, please let me and Susan know. I believe that it's fantastic to have a SHRM membership and to have a PIHRA membership. Over 50% of our members are what we call dual members. They have both memberships. And Susan, you might have a different slant, but for me, the SHRM membership is fantastic. If you want to get the uh, prompt precise information on any laws, any policy changes, any cutting edge HR strategy that's going out there. They're a larger organization with over 300,000 members, and they have a way bigger staff than PIHRA does. So they're able to send out daily newsletters and things like that. They have a great magazine and a fantastic robust website. So that's their advantage. For us, we're local. This is where you're going to meet the and get connected with the largest local HR community. So you'll see our chapter map. There are meetings all the time. So if you want to meet people face to face and get affordable, consistent, frequent professional development, that's what PIHRA brings to the table. Is there anything you would add there, Susan? Or
Yeah, actually, I would. So, if you're really looking for research on a topic, SHRM's your way to go. You can go out there. They have numerous research topics and opportunities for you to explore, kind of cutting edge stuff. They have really good statistical analysis of a lot of different kinds of programs out there. So, that's where SHRM comes in, and it's really beneficial for those of us that are in the HR community to help frame like strategic decision making, and to help your employer understand strategic decision making, or what maybe is on the cusp of what's coming down the pipe next. I know there's going to be a lot of information going on at SHRM about how HR is going to change in this new administration. So, be paying attention to what that's going to look like. Where PIHRA is really that boots on the street, people with their ear to the ground of what's going on with local employers. A lot of our employees, or a lot of our member base, are those individuals that are first-time managers or managers in small organizations. We have larger organizations as well who have big corporate machines behind them. But really our sweet spot is that generalist HR manager, first-time director, where those individuals are really looking for like nuts and bolts kinds of things. And that's where our programming is so impactful, is that you can get up to the minute kind of information from attorneys, from vendors, from insurance brokers, and information that you really need to know. And then you can also do the networking. And that's the fun part, is we do a lot of like co-branded mixers with more than one chapter in your region. So those are really fun events. Yes, there's alcohol involved, but it is a great time to connect with other HR practitioners and vendors.
thank you so much. This next slide, I usually don't have Susan with me. I don't have our Chief Executive Officer with me, so I like to introduce them. You've met Susan. By the way, this is our mission statement. I didn't think it was necessary to read it to you, but I did skip over one thing I just remembered. We've been around since 1944. This is our 80th anniversary. So if you're wondering, like, how did PIHRA start? Well, we've been around since 1944 when a group of personnel managers got together in downtown LA and said, what's the future of the HR profession? What certifications are needed? What sort of ongoing educational needs does this community have? And they called the organization Professionals in Industrial Relations. And so we've rebranded that. And I really credit Raphael with his work with the board in rebranding us. So he back in 2015, I think it was, or 2014, he refreshed our logo. He subsequent to that, we had a seminars and conferences. Our main conference was a PIHRA annual conference. It's now California HR conference through his leadership, and he's done a lot of great work. He got us through the pandemic, and so he's also very accessible on LinkedIn. So if you ever want to reach out, and he's my supervisor, so and Susan's his supervisor. So we work really closely together, and those are some key players that you need to know about. Here's some demographics, and I think, Susan, you were getting to this a little bit. Right around 40% of our member base is at the HR manager generalist level. 20% are at the HR director level. We have right around 8 to 10% at the HR VP and plus, so CHROs, Chief People Officer level. And something I like to point out is right around 6% of our membership community is what we call service providers. So those are those natural partners to HR, like the insurance brokers, the financial advisors, the retirement account advisors, staffing folks, wellness folks. So they are a part of our community. And they're here to build relationships. And what if one of an example of how you may interact with them. I went to a PIHRA Long Beach event couple years ago now, and one of the insurance brokers who's very active said, and if you go to a meeting, you'll hear this, like, is anyone looking for an HR position? Or does anyone know about an HR position? So that's why going to these meetings is important, because that's where you're going to make these connections. Like Susan was talking about, yes, we do have a lot of fun and we do a lot of socializing, but there's a lot of important professional connections that you'll make. So this gentleman said, hey, I know about an HR director position in the downtown LA area. Please contact me. I'll connect you with them. So very important um, to connect with these people. I consider them connectors in the community, and that's their job. We have right now right around 3,440 members to be exact, and we're hoping to grow that a little bit. Here's a little bit more. What I like to point out is 40% of our members are HR certified. So this is important to our community. And I'll talk a little bit about the prep courses that we offer, and want to also make I got certified with my SHRMA CP at the beginning of 2021. And so I'd be happy to share my experience with you. Um, Moving on, we have, oh, I skipped over our chapters. So some of you had questions about the chapters. So I want to pause here for a moment. Excuse me. This is a map of our chapters. We cover Southern California from the Antelope Valley area, as Susan was mentioning. We go as far north of that area. On the coast, we go as far north as Ventura County. So our Ventura County chapter meets out at Camarillo, for example. We go as far east as Coachella Valley. So our PIHRA Coachella Valley chapter meets out at Palm Desert, I believe. They meet out of a country club. These are not brick and mortar locations. They usually select a community location or a country club to host their meetings. We go as far south as North County, San Diego, which is kind of a smaller community, but our South OC is our largest chapter. At one point pre-pandemic, they reached over 700 members. Right now, they're right around 400 and some members. So they meet monthly out at Costa Mesa. One of the things that came out of the pandemic is that we were our chapters were really focused on very traditional lecture style meetings. So they would have breakfast meetings or lunch meetings, and it was kind of a lecture style. Well, we've been discussing this, and what we learned through the pandemic is let's meet our members where they are. So a great example is PIHRA North OC, which is actually our third largest chapter. They've kind of shifted. So they'll do a traditional breakfast meeting 1 month. The next month, they'll do an idea lab type of workshop meeting during lunch. And then the third month, they'll have a evening social. So if I know I have a small child. I have to, in the mornings, it's hard for me. So I can go to evening events, and I could definitely go to lunch events. And so, you can find the meeting and location that you want. As a PIHRA member, you get the PIHRA rate, and you can attend any of our chapter meetings at that rate. So there is a cost to attend these meetings because there's a venue that needs to be paid for. There's typically a meal component, and there's also professional development. So at 99% of these events, you are able to get certified or recertification credit toward your HR certification if you're already certified. I see something in the chat. In the meantime, Susan, is there anything you'd like to add about
It's a
our
great
chapter?
place. Yeah, it's the local chapters is a really great place to start your network, and it just expands out from leadership out of that. Um, there are individuals that have been part of the PIHRA ecosystem, so to speak, since I started in 2000 that are still really good friends today. And so I've really built up some great relationships with folks. It's also been a network of folks that say, hey, I know that you're not currently working, but I know that you're out there looking, and here's an opportunity for you to maybe go explore. Raphael was actually instrumental in getting me connected with the right people at Rite Aid to pick up a job when I was ready to come back to work after a couple of years off. So there's lots of different places. Also, one of the things that these local PIHRA communities connect you with are their speakers. And this is a time when, you maybe have 20 or, 40 or 50 or even 100 people at a meeting. And it's not like at a big conference where everybody's vying for that speaker's attention. You can actually get up and actually have a conversation with that speaker and ask them questions about the topic. And in many cases, some of the speakers that I've worked with throughout my PIHRA career they've made a huge impact because you've been able to really to get down and have some interesting questions answered that you would not normally have gotten in the larger setting. So there's that. The local chapters that's your bread and butter. That's your place where you're going to make the best connections to grow your career. And they're also going to help you navigate all of the really fun stuff about getting certified. And if you're lucky, you'll get to work with a group of people and get certified together. So, there's all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Good point that you made. Each chapter is quite autonomous. They are governed by their own volunteer leader board. So I know someone was talking about their interest in volunteering. That is a great first step. You could join a chapter committee, or you could take on a formal role in membership or programs or hospitality. Some of them are longer term volunteer positions, and some of them are shorter. So, Susan, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, so I just saw a question in the chat and I wanted to address it. So how do you become a member of whatever chapter that is? It's really up to you. So depending on where you live or work. So let me give you an example. I had an associate that worked for me as an HR manager, and he worked in El Monte, but he lived in Long Beach. So he was trying to make the determination, like, which chapter should I go to? So for instance, for me, Antelope Valley was where I lived and worked, and so it made the most sense for me. But at one time when I was working in Sylmar, it may have made more sense for me to be part of the Burbank chapter because it was a lunch meeting and I wanted to go to that chapter. But it's really dependent on where you live and where you work. So some of our folks are part of the chapter because that's where they go to work in the morning, and so they can get to that lunch or afternoon meeting. Some people are members of chapters where they in the local community that they live in because they can go to the breakfast meeting. So it's really, it's dependent. I always wanted to go to a breakfast meeting because once I get to work, I'm completely useless about being able to step out until the end of the day. So
Thank
that
you,
always works better
Susan.
for me.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And so you select your preferred chapter when you become a member. It's in the form, so you could change that at any time, Anjali. But we do ask that you select a preferred chapter because that way you have your home base. Again, you could change it at any time. So hopefully that answers that question. We're at we only have 20 more minutes and I have a lot to cover, so I'm going to try to speed this up. Lindsay, and I think there was a couple questions about cost of meetings. Yes, you could find the costs on the chapter when you register, but just to give you a sense, a social can cost you $20 sometimes because there's some food and we need to guarantee that with the venue. A meeting may cost anywhere between $35 and $55 depending on the chapter. As you know, different areas of Los Angeles have different um, pricing. For example, it may be more expensive for to book a venue in the West LA Santa Monica area than it is to book it in Coachella Valley, for example. So it could range anywhere between $35 and $55, and you get at least 10% off if you are a member. Um, for Riverside chapter, I do know that they have some meetings coming up. They may not have made it to our calendar yet. So keep looking, Lindsay. I want to encourage you to keep looking. I want to keep moving because we've talked about a lot here. So I'm going to move quickly. We also have on top of our 18 chapters, special interest groups. We have the PIHRA Foundation, PIHRA College Relations, PIHRA Emerging Leaders, and the Government Advocacy Team. These are also quite autonomous and have their own board. So if you're interested in volunteering for any of these, just reach out to me. You'll get my email address. It's also in the slides, and I'd be happy to make an introduction via email for you. Here's an example of one of our community groups, the Government Advocacy Team. They've been pivotal at connecting us with the Cal SHRM government I think they call themselves the A team. They work a lot and we don't lobby at the California Capitol or in DC, but SHRM does have some of their funding goes to lobbying and their boots on the ground um, eh, 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 in the state capital. So this team works with them. They have been critical at uh, getting us in front of key legislators. So, for example, yesterday, Congressman Mark Takano from the Riverside area provided us with a really nice welcome to our members. And that's a great way for us to testify what's going on in the workplace and for them to hear what the HR community's needs are and then help with that legislation. We did have some people ask about benefits. This is not an exhaustive list. So I know some of you are like, what are all those other benefits? I'm going to refer you to the PIHRA.org/benefits chart or contact me separately. It's a lot. There is a pretty comprehensive list of all of our benefits on our website. I just don't think I have the time to go through all of them right now. I apologize, but we'll send you a link to that in the email. I think the top three, when I talk to our members, they say the relationship building. It keeps them coming back. I've met, and I think Susan just also discussed this. I've asked our members, why have you been a PIHRA member for 15, 20 years? Oh, I see a baby. Um, and they say, I met my best friend. Uh-oh, I met my best friend at PIHRA. And so go to meetings. I cannot encourage you more, but and emphasize this more. Get a community. If it's not PIHRA, fine, I get it. But find yourself a professional community and get connected. And me and Raphael say the same thing. We want you to become PIHRA members. We want you to join our community, but more importantly, just join a community. If anything, what we've learned in the last 5 years is it's not good to go at this alone. We have the HR education we talked about, the training opportunities, the California Focus HR education, free webinars. I think I missed a thing here. What did I miss here? I think this is misplaced, but I want to talk to you about some online tools. We have among other things, a smart employee handbook builder. We have an HR advisory line, and there's going to be a slide coming up on that. If you're not a member, I talked about us being in our 80th anniversary. We have a special throwback membership campaign. So if you are not a member and you're an HR practitioner, or you're an HR practitioner that's been lapsed from your membership for 3 years or more, you can get an $80 membership right now. And that's all in honor of our 80th anniversary. I'll send you a link to this as well. I see some things in the chat, so let me just make sure.
I see somebody really liked our Del Mar seminar for CELU, so that's exciting.
Oh, good. All right. I'm a sucker for babies, so I'm going to try to keep going. But I think we covered a lot that's in the chat. We have someone else that has a baby probably next to them too, but don't, because I want to talk about babies. So here's some information about the workplace. I'll be honest, it's a fantastic platform, but it can be temperamental to get on because we use a single sign-on technology. Don't get frustrated and say, well, gosh, Lily's marketing this and it's not working. Email me. I will get back to you pretty quickly, if not again within 24 hours, and get you access. If I can't get you access, I will because this is a partner site, so it's through Mineral. I am pretty notorious at getting on the phone with our partner and making sure you have access. So there is an award-winning compliance center with hundreds of policies and forms, examples. You can call PIHRA Live. It's staffed by senior certified HR professionals on the phone Monday through Friday. Here's a phone number. They'll follow up with you with an email with a link to any documentation that might be helpful for you. And what's really incredible is that we have PIHRA Learn. If you were to purchase PIHRA Live, for example, if you were to purchase that on your own, it would have cost you at least $1,200 a year. This PIHRA Learn, so I just talked about PIHRA Live. The PIHRA Learn is an enterprise-wide learning management software that you can use to administer trainings to your employees. That would cost you, depending on your size, around $10,000, and you get it with your PIHRA membership. So um, they have a four set of courses that there's like 250 of them. The mandatory courses, just so you know, in full disclosure, for example, the sexual harassment training for managers, and there's, I think, a mandatory OSHA safety training. You do have to upgrade. There's a discount price for you to upgrade to administer those. But this is a fantastic tool. You have to spend a lot of time in here. There's a lot in here. So for me to give you a brief update, it's not possible. I do have some demos that share some information that we'll send you in an email. So when you have time, you can check out the demos, and it talks about the employee handbook builder and Learn and the other tools on there. All right, let's see. Hopefully that answered a lot of your questions. If you have an HR team, and maybe you're a small organization, a lot of our members belong or HR department of one, or maybe there's two. We have an or maybe you're 10 to 20 people on your HR team. This is a type of corporate membership, and it'll give you some great discounts, and it's just a great way to provide your HR team with the training and the resources and the connections that they need to help you and the organization be successful. Volunteering. I think one or two of you asked about that. Um, I think it's a critical tool to hone your leadership skills. And I've been fortunate enough to have supervisors and people in my life that have encouraged me to volunteer. If you have a great supervisor or people on your team, they'll be watching that you're doing this work. And this really lends itself to the skills you need to be a great leader at the job place. So you're going to be learning how to manage your time more effectively, those planning skills, those communication skills. I think it's critical. And Susan, if you, we're running out of time, but if you want to, how has volunteering impacted your career? I know you talked about your connection with Raphael helped you get your Rite Aid position, but anything else you want to add?
I think you're right, Lily. It hones your leadership skills. You get to do it in a place that's safe, and you have people who are there to mentor you. I'm really excited about our mentorship program that's coming out of the Los Angeles chapter. So, pay attention to those kinds of things. There's going to be some time when you're going to be asked to move into a stretch project. And the fact that you've had a leadership role at PIHRA gives you the opportunity to take on that leadership role in that project that you might not have otherwise had. So, take every opportunity to volunteer, to learn your leadership skills, to hone them. That's what PIHRA is there for, is to continue to empower and engage the HR community and give you the tools for you to be able to be successful.
Yeah, I like to talk about volunteering as networking on steroids because when you volunteer, you're not just shaking people's hands. People are getting to know you. They're getting to know your work ethic. They're getting to know the quality of your work. So the next time they hear about a position, guess who they're going to think of? They're going to think about you. So I think it's our best kept secret. Think about it. If it's not PIHRA, volunteer somewhere else. It's helped me in my career as well. So a lot of questions we had about certification, education. We do a lot of HR education. We're very busy over here. Our chapters are very busy putting fantastic events on. So go to the PIHRA calendar. If it's not on there, it's going to be on there soon. We do encourage our chapters to give us as much lead to put it on the calendar as possible, but just check a lot and every day because there's a lot going on. Members get at least $10 off any chapter meeting or any event. And also, you get member rates for our conferences, like the California HR conference and the one we just did. Was it yesterday? I think we just did
Yeah,
one
Riverside.
yesterday in Riverside. It's been a whirl, but we're at the California Employment Law Update in Riverside, and that's kind of something we do in several communities in our area. I talked about the webinar, so let's move on. This is where we had some questions. Um, I believe our HR certification instructor, Richard Dawson, is one of the best SHRM and HRCI instructors west of the Mississippi. Now, you can argue with me about that, but he's fantastic. Richard Dawson, he has all the certifications. He's worked with the SHRM certification committee to evaluate the exam and to provide input into it. I took my prep course through him through PIHRA, and I think of him as one of my go-tos. He's a senior HR professional. He's been there. He's real. And I will just let you know that you could find him. And if you want an introduction, I'd be happy to introduce you. Anjali, isn't he the best? Yeah, but I got to tell you, the certification prep classes aren't enough. At least for me, I am a first generation US citizen. So my parents, were working class, Spanish speaking folks. I'm not a great test taker. Everyone's different. So that's what I was telling you. Speak to a lot of different certified folks. I studied at least 175 hours for the Sherma CP. I passed it on the first time because I was like, I am not paying for this exam again, right? But if you have any other questions about certification, I like the SHRM certification. I think their materials are fantastic. Other people may say something else. SHRM came out in 2015 with the certification, the HRCI certification, which is the SPHR and the PHR and the APHR and PHR California, has been around for like 30, 40 years. So very well recognized. If it was me, I would probably want to do the SHRM SCP and then back it up with the PHR California, but that's just me. So you agree, Susan? Yeah. I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to speed through this. I do see some things in the chat. And I hope I answered your question, um, because it sounds like you're interested in getting certified, but I'm free to talk. I'll connect you with other people who are certified. I say go for it. There's stats out there that at least the senior certifications can increase your salary by $20,000 at the very least. So do it, but study, and you have to know yourself, and having advanced degrees can help. Okay. Um, Someone asked about seminars and conferences. I'm really excited about this one. The Talent Symposium is coming up on Thursday, March 20th. Go to PIHRA.org/Talent Symposium 25 for more information. I think that's going to be like a half-day event in the Costa Mesa area. We're working with our partners and volunteer leaders in South Orange County with that. This is the highlight of our year. The California HR Conference 2025 is happening May 4th through 6th. If you have specific questions, we got a couple minutes, but it's 2.5 days of networking, learning, fun, high impact, short presentations, exhibitors demoing all kinds of different tools that you might be interested in using. We're going to be talking about AI. We have 11 learning tracks going from employment law to HR strategy to leadership and personal development, global. Susan, I know you love it too, and you're going to be there with us, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'm there every year. The SHRM conference is a great place to really expand your network and get to know other volunteer leaders outside your local chapter. So it's a way to kind of cross pollinate, which is really great. Most of the content you can't get at any other place. Access to the volunteer leaders. My favorite was always the SHRM store, but we haven't had that for a couple of years. So I've spent way too much money on SHRM books or HR related books, but that's a great place for me. I like books, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You said
they'll
the
have.
SHRM conference, Susan.
No, I said the SHRM bookstore.
No, but before I heard you say
Oh
SHRM conference. We're
yeah.
talking about the California HR conference, but the SHRM conference is also a great conference. But yeah, we're talking about the
Yeah,
California HR conference. I think you got SHRM on the
honestly,
head from last
I
weekend
do.
or something.
I prefer the PIHRA California HR conference because it's more intimate, and it's actually more cost effective. So while we are an affiliate of SHRM and we support what they do, I think our PIHRA conference is so well honed and offers such great content that the best bang for your buck is the PIHRA conference.
I agree. I agree. All right, so let's see. How many minutes? 2 minutes. I'm cruising. I'm cruising. We're gonna get through it. This is gonna be fun. If you like cruising, my friend turned me into a cruiser, but we're doing the first ever PIHRA hosted HR cruise in February 2026. The rumor is that this is going to be up on our calendar next week. So if you like cruising and you want to this is like a 5-night cruise to Cabo. I think we're going to do 2 days of content for you, and it's really affordable from what I heard. So keep on the lookout for that. And as promised, I'm going to email this to you. Here's a list of all of the things that we have going on. Some are free for members. Set a goal for yourself. I mentioned this earlier. get connected, stay connected, build your professional community. You can do it locally through PIHRA. If that's not for you, do it somewhere. There's other organizations out there, but here's your next step. Register for one of these webinars, or the webinars are free if you're a member, and some may be free for everybody. Register for one of these, get connected. I know, let's see, Woodland Hill. So someone on the group is from Thousand Oaks. They're meeting on February 6th. I think I'm kind of blanking on some things. There's also one that, what is that one on January 30th, there's a webinar, The Critical Role of HR in Crisis Management. So if you're dealing with anything related to the wildfire disasters, that's something good for you. North OC's got a great meeting in end of February, using data for good decision making and executive buy-in, which is also really important. We got a lot of employment law coming up. So please set a goal for yourself. Attend a PIHRA meeting in at least, or one HR or professional event this quarter. It's important for your career, and I want you to succeed. So please set a goal for yourself to do that. Connect with us online. We're on LinkedIn. We're all over LinkedIn. Uh, do some Facebook, not so much on X, a lot. We're doing a lot more on Instagram. We also have a forum. I'll be honest, the online forum isn't as robust as I would like. And I'm at 101. Feel free to contact me anytime. I will respond as soon as I can. Thank you so much, Maria, for making it the whole way. Anjali, thank you for interacting with us. Jaina, thank you. And Liz, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And with that, we're adjourned. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lily. Sorry about the baby.
Thank you for being with us. Take care, everybody.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
great weekend.